Hi guys, Buildzoid here, and so I've been getting kind of a lot of questions about what DDR to buy from people, like what DDR5 memory kits to buy from people, and so I figured we could do a video about it because I haven't done a video about shopping for RAM for ages. I might do a separate one for DDR4, though I don't think DDR4 things have really changed other than that prices might have started creeping upwards as DDR4 production sort of ramps down and DDR5 production ramps up. Um, but yeah, anyway, today we're going to be taking a look at DDR5. We're going to be taking a look at 2x16 and 2x32 gig options because 4x16 is stupid. I know I've done videos showing 4x16 overclocking, but the reason I've done that is because I still haven't bought a 2x32 gig DDR5 kit. The main reason for that is they're kind of expensive, and I personally really don't care about high capacity memory configurations. Um, so yeah, like on one hand, I should probably make a video about it. On the other hand, I don't really want to put any money into it. And getting and also like getting review samples of high density memory kits is, you know, more difficult than getting low density memory kits. So yeah, anyway, the reason, like, there's the other thing to keep in mind is with DDR5, there's really no reason to go for like a dual rank memory configuration. There's no benefit whatsoever. Well, maybe on Ryzen you might see some benefit from it because the Ryzen memory controller has a really low max memory clock and it isn't really affected by having your memory clock doesn't tank because you go from a single rank setup to a dual rank setup like it does on Intel. But on Intel, your single rank setups just outclock the dual rank setups by such a large margin that the dual rank benefits are irrelevant because especially on DDR5, you have so many bank groups in a single rank of DDR5 that having a second rank of DDR5 doesn't really help you. And the other thing is for your tertiary timings, the second rank timings are actually generally worse than same group timings. So you don't really get like a big time, like you don't really get much of an advantage by getting an extra memory rank for anything other than like write to read and read to write operations. Those are like the only two timings that actually benefit from having a second rank. So yeah, like DDR4, you always want to go dual rank. That's like peak performance. And you don't really want to go above that because you start running into sort of like, well, diminishing returns because you don't actually need that many ranks. And also the clocks start to really suffer. But with DDR5, like you don't really even want to go past single rank because there's no benefit unless you really need the extra capacity. Yeah, anyway, that's also the reason why you'll probably not see me testing 128 gigs of DDR5, like, probably, like, I'm not gonna say never, because somehow I might end up with four sticks of 32 gig DDR5, but I'm not in any rush to get that, because it'll probably suck, and it'll take forever to stress test. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. Oh, and I guess I should point out that like 2x8 DDR5 kits do have a clock per clock disadvantage compared to 2x16 kits because they use X16 memory chips instead of X8, so you get half as many bank groups. But on the flip, but they're not that bad. Like they are worse, but they're not completely freaking terrible. There's a pretty good video from Hardware Unboxed about how 2x8 DDR5 setups are actually not. I think for some scenarios, it's actually better than like your DDR4 in the same capacity, which would make sense because obviously DDR5 you get the benefits of quad channel versus dual channel for DDR4. So that can still somewhat offset the really loose primary timings. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be sort of taking a look at just 2x16 and 2x32 because those are the two configurations that, to me at least, make the most sense. If you want to go below that, well, you're kind of screwed. And if you want to go above that, then I feel very bad for you because 128 gigs of DDR5 is going to run so badly. And it's going to take so long to verify that it's actually running stable. Anyway, so now let's finally get into it. So if you're not going to be buying DDR5 that's rated for over 5200, you may as well get just DDR5 4800. And the reason I say this is very simple. There are 3 DDR5 manufacturers right now. You've got Micron, Samsung, and SK Hynix. And basically, everybody makes memory chips that will do 5200 CL40. So what that means, and it's very consistent. So what that means is you can buy a 4800 CL40 kit, bump the voltage to like 1.3 volts, and you're pretty much, or even 1.35, and you're pretty much guaranteed to hit at least 5200, and I'd be really surprised if most kits wouldn't do 5400. So there's really not much point like paying extra for a 5200 kit if you're willing to, run a memory stress test, that kind of thing. Like basically, if you're doing any amount of memory overclocking, just get a 4800, and you're not going to be, buying something that's like guaranteed not to be Micron. You may as well just get a 4800 kit and overclock that instead, because the 5200 CL40 kits, like this is using the exact same memory chips as this does. And admittedly, the price difference kind of reflects that. There's basically no price difference, right? This is 125 and this is like 140. So that's not a really big price difference. It's not like it's going to drastically change what other things you can put into your build. But you could get like a better cooler or something, or a slightly better case. So I really don't see a reason to pay extra for a 5200 CL40 kit or even a 5200 CL36 kit, because it's the same thing as your 4800 CL40 if you're going to be manually overclocking. Now, if you're not manually overclocking, it's still kind of the same thing, because that's not really much of a speed difference. Though at that point, I guess it is enough of a speed difference that it could justify the slight price increase, but I'm not really a fan of like paying extra for 5200 CL40. And this channel is called Actually Hardcore Overclocking. So I'm just going to assume that, look, if you're here and you're buying RAM, you're going to overclock it. Otherwise, why are you watching me? Anyway, so yeah, so basically, if you're going to be, trying to, like, if you're not going to be buying something rated for at least 5600, you can just go straight down to 4800 CL40 and overclock that manually, because it's going to be the same thing. Now, why is 5600 special? Because Micron DDR5 doesn't do 5600. It's really that simple. So at 5600, you start getting a mix of SK Hynix memory chips and Samsung memory chips. Now, Samsung memory chips are weird, as in, technically, they can kind of do high memory speeds. They're just incredibly annoying they're incredibly annoying to set up. The memory timings aren't as good as they are on SK Hynix, and you're they're not great. So again, there's no real point paying extra for a Samsung-based memory kit. So something like this 5600 CL36. And this right here, the 3636, 3676, this is a giveaway. The vast majority of memory kits that come with flat 36s, Samsung. It's Samsung. Very rarely at 5600, it could also be Hynix, but Hynix generally doesn't do tight TRCD. It does tight everything else. And so this is almost certainly a Samsung memory kit. And the reason you would want to get something like this is that you could also spend significantly more money for the exact same memory chips with all of the same overclocking problems as this 5600 kit. For example, this, I'm going to assume this Patriot Viper Black. Man, these are some good-looking heat spreaders. This is 363636, and it's rated for 6000. This, too, is Samsung, okay? So if you buy this, you can probably just do the same settings this does. Now, you might need slightly more voltage, but from what I've heard so far, like, DDR5 memory chips seem to be relatively consistent. Even a kit like this should, honestly, I'd be surprised if you couldn't do like 6200 on this, assuming that you can deal with the weirdness that is Samsung DDR5. Especially with 12th gen Intel, Samsung DDR5 is just kind of like really annoying to deal with. If you have like Ryzen or 13th gen, it's much less of a problem. But again, it just doesn't make sense to spend extra on your Samsung-based DDR5 if you can spend less on your Samsung-based DDR5. So that's why I would say like this kit actually makes sense. This doesn't, because I mean it's not much of a price gap, is it? It's you spend $30 more for basically the same memory chips with a different heat spreader. And $30 is actually kind of significant. Like that's quite a heatsink upgrade potentially, right? Like yeah, it's like that's like going from air cooling to an AIO potentially. Um, so yeah, like spending extra, like so basically, I would avoid anything that's 6,000, 36, 36, 36. Like straight up, I would just avoid it. There's no point. You can get a 5600, 36, 36, 36. Set the voltage to like 1.3 volts, and it should do 6,000. Um, yeah, I would be like I've toyed with maybe even doing a video about like demonstrating that. Um, so let's see how much I would have to spend to do that. Fortunately, UK prices for oh man, 50. That's not too bad. Is it also 30? Yeah, that's flat 36s. That's still kind of a lot though. Like it's a lot more than the US pricing. Yeah, that sucks. Like if it was 150 quid, I would be kind of okay with it, but it's just it's way more than the US price. Yeah. Oh, that sucks for me. So that's kind of the main reason I haven't really done a video about like done a video with that is just I don't really want to like request a review sample 5600 CL36 kit. Also because I probably wouldn't get one. Like funnily enough, I have tried to get Samsung memory like review samples, like lower rated ones, and the thing is, memory manufacturers don't want to send it out because it's like bad. Which, well, yes, that's kind of the point. Anyway, but you do have a lot of options for like cheap 5600 rated. Oh, you also have like 5600 CL40. This is so 5600 CL40 is depending on the brand, can sometimes be SK Hynix. But for the vast majority of manufacturers, I'm going to say this is almost certainly Samsung as well, because as far as I'm aware, the SK Hynix M-Die memory chips are very, very consistent. To the point that even like green PCB OEM sticks straight from, Hynix rated for 4800 CL40 will do the same kind of clocks that like a 6200 CL32 kit will do or a 6400 CL32 kit will do. So there's basically no point, like if you have access to SK Hynix M-Die memory chips, there's no point in putting them into an XMP 5600 kit because they'll all do like 6000 CL30, 6400 CL32, 6600 CL34, right? Like they'll all do these higher speeds. So if you're a memory manufacturer and you have these SK Hynix chips, why would you put them into a 5600 CL40 kit, right? You're just yeah. So that's kind of why for most brands I would just straight up avoid 5600 unless you're willing to, like unless you're okay getting Samsung memory chips. And the Samsung memory chips, they're not a complete disaster. They're certainly a lot better than the Micron DDR5 memory chips, but they're not something I'd want to pay extra for, which is why I'm saying like, yeah, there's no point getting like a 6000 36 36 36 because it costs more and it's the same chips as your random, DDR5 5600 rated kit. But there is an exception to that. And that exception is Kingston. Because Kingston, for some reason, really hates Samsung. Like a lot. So they don't use so to the best of my knowledge, they don't really use Samsung memory chips like at all. And I guess the kit price kind of reflects that because these are really, really expensive for 5600 CL, 36 and CL40. And this CL36 kit, like, oh, they don't show the full timing. That's annoying. Okay, well, we'll have to just pull that up. I want the PDF. There we go. Yeah, so you can see from the full timings, it's 36, 38, 38. Right? It's not flat 36s. And that's a pretty clear indication that, yep, Kingston still isn't using Samsung memory chips, because if they were using Samsung on these, you'd almost certainly see like flat 36s instead. So, yeah, but obviously, like, so this should be the cheapest way of getting like a SK Hynix MDI based memory kit. And MDI is really good. It's like the ideal memory chip for Ryzen. It's not well, it's not ideal for Intel because Intel's memory controller can't really clock it that high. But with 13th gen, you should still be able to do like DDR5 7000 with MDI. So, yeah, like I would consider this like the budget performance memory option, basically, for DDR5, is these sort of like $180 SK Hynix MDI based kits, because if you're manually overclocking, if you're on 13th gen, you should be able to do like 7000 CL34 or something. Or even 7000 CL30, if you give it enough voltage and you get lucky enough with the memory chips. So, yeah. So, SK Hynix MDI is sort of what was one of the two chips that you really want, and this should be the cheapest way of getting it. Now, it's not 100, like, I don't want to say it's 100% guaranteed, but as far as I know, Kingston really doesn't like using Samsung memory chips. Like, it's very, very hard to get, like, DDR4 Kingston kits or DDR5 Kingston kits with anything other than, like, Micron or Hynix. So, yeah, and Micron doesn't do 5600 for XMP. Like, there are Micron memory kits out there that'll hit 5600, but it's really difficult. So, you're not going to see them in an XMP, like in a 5600 XMP, because it wouldn't be like, that's not a viable bin for a memory manufacturer. So, yeah, so we've got the 5600 kits. Then we've got these 8.8 Lancers at... These are CL40 at 1.35 volts. The thing is, this could very easily be Samsung or Hynix. So I wouldn't want to commit to like buying this, because this like 8.8, as far as I know, doesn't have any like brand loyalty to any of the memory manufacturers. So yeah, I don't really see that as a very good option. So we've got a bunch of... Right, so we've already looked at the Patriot 6000 CL36. I guess that's not too bad an option if you're, okay getting Samsung memory chips at $180. I wouldn't be okay with that. I'd rather take my chances with this, to be completely honest. Like, yeah, I'd take my chances with this instead. Anyway, so let's keep scrolling. So we've got a bunch of 5600 down here. Anything interesting? Okay, G-Skill has this like Flare X5 kit, which is 5630, 3036. Man, what's a 1.25 volts? Sick. Nah, I'd still get this instead. Like, I'd still much rather get one of the Kingston kits. I don't... Like, Samsung can do low cast latency, but I think it needs a lot of voltage, so I'm not entirely certain what that would be. I've got some Team Group CL32 at 5600. Like, I would just avoid anything with a TRCD of 36. Like, that's my current stance on it. It's just like, oh, is the TRCD 36? Avoid. Very high probability of Samsung. And I'd like prefer not paying extra for that if possible. Some G-Skill Trident Z5, 6036. Avoid. Oh, boy. Yeah, 36, 36, 36. Yep, that's Samsung. We've got 5200 at... That's way too expensive. 6036, 6036, 6040, 6040... Corsair with 5636. Nope. 5234. What? Why? That does... I think Micron can do CL34 at 5200. So paying $190 for that is insanity. Please don't do that. Just don't. Or it's Samsung, in which case still don't do that. Right? Get the 5600, get this instead. well, yeah, you could get that instead, or you could get like the, where was it? This one. Or there was an even cheaper kit. There, the 5600 CL36 for $150. You know what? I should just keep that pulled up as like the cheapest Samsung option that's currently available, at least in the US. 6036, 6200 CL40. This probably won't be Samsung. This probably won't be Samsung because it's 40, 40, 40. It's 6200. The funny thing with the Samsung memory chips is like they can do high memory speeds. Like I think I have a video, or well, I've tested a Samsung kit and like I could boot like 6800. It was very unstable. And when I tried to like dial in a manual overclock with it, it was an absolute nightmare. Which is why I never ended up making a video about like, a dialed in Samsung overclock, because the stress testing was just taking forever because nothing worked. So I just kind of gave up on it. But I was testing like 6600, 6400. So like Samsung memory chips can kind of do high speeds. It's just really difficult. And so a 6200 CL40 XMP profile, I wouldn't expect this to be Samsung simply because it probably won't work on most motherboards reliably. Whereas with Hynix, this is easy. This is very, very easy for Hynix memory chips to do. So this, I think, might be one of the cheapest, like, higher speed Hynix based memory kits. This will almost certainly be M-Die. This still won't be Hynix A-Die, but, like, M-Die is good. Like, for Ryzen, M-Die is good. So if you're not confident about these being SK Hynix M-Die, this is even higher probability of being Hynix M-Die. Because it's a bit, like, the speed's a bit high for a Samsung-based kit. So we'll keep this open, because that is a interesting option in my opinion. I did not miss any other higher speed kits, did I? Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay. Wait, I thought maybe there'd be like a 6000 CL. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you have like a 6000 CL 32, 38. Yeah, this is Hynix. So this is Hynix. So that's a good option. I should keep that open. There's a 30 at 56. No. 34. Yeah, okay, no. Just 32 at 56. Actually, I kind of wonder what the timings look like. Oh, 32, 36. Yeah, no. We will avoid TRCD 36. Oh, we've got a 5628. Oh, man. Nah, this is dumb. Nah. No. Like, this is the same price as this. Get this instead. And I just want to quickly... 1875? Yeah, okay, so it is a bit more... Like, you can just... What voltage is this at? This is 1.35. They're both 1.35. This is still... I'd still rather get this. Like, I don't think... Like, I'm not sure. That TRCD is awfully low, but... Nah, get this. Get this. This is, like, worst case scenario, you can manually overclock this to 6000 CL28. For 6000 CL28, you're probably going to need, like, 1.5 volts or more, but that for Hynix memory chips is perfectly fine. Like, that is not a concern whatsoever. So this kit stays, and that CL28 kit just, eh. Like, I can't tell if it's probably Samsung because of the TRCD. And that's just bad. Okay, so we also have 6000 CL30 at the same price. Like, this is $210. Yeah, so this is the same price as that 5600. Yeah, and this is 30, 40, 40. Why do they have the TRCD so high? I don't get that. Like, the TRCD on Hynix at 6000, you should be easily able to do 38. That really, yeah, 38 should be no problem. I am very confused as to why it's 40. I could basically, I'd be willing to guarantee that it doesn't need to be at 40. Yeah, that is a really weird timing set for what is very obviously a Hynix kit. So this is a good option. What else do we have? We have 6000 CL30 in Hynix again, I'm guessing. Yep, 30, 40, 40. I have a 5636 from Team Group, Avoid, 6036. I don't like how it keeps opening up the tabs like further and further away from my Avoid. Yeah, you can see flat 36s. Just don't. If it's CL36, it probably sucks unless it's rated well over 6000 or unless it's rated for like 6200 or something. So, yeah, and then we have just a bunch of questionable options where it's like 6000 with 36, 6038, 6040, which might be like these could all be Samsung, so no point. We get a 6400 CL32. This is guaranteed Hynix. Literally just 100% some kind of Hynix. Cannot be Samsung. So that's cool. Now, the bad news is 6400 on 12th gen Intel might not work. On 13th gen, pretty much guaranteed to work. On 13th gen, I would be surprised if this kit couldn't do 7000. On Ryzen, this might not work. A lot of Ryzen CPUs, the memory controller will not do 6400. So, yeah, like if you buy this kit, you might have to clock it down a bit, but this is like, this has to be Hynix M die. Like, it can't be anything else. So, well, it could be Hynix A die, but they're not going to put Hynix A die in a $220 kit when they can put it into like a $400 kit instead. Or a $300 kit. I'm not sure. I've not checked Hynix A die based kit prices, but yeah. So this is a good option, and I'm surprised that the price isn't completely insane. What else do we have? We have 6432. Yeah, so 6400 CL32. That's a safe option. So 6000 CL32. I mean, we're going up in price. Already looked at that one. Already looked at this one. Yeah, we're like, there's no point paying extra for like, just get this instead. Worst case scenario, you'll have to downclock it a bit if you're on 12th gen Intel or Ryzen, which isn't really that big a deal. As in, you'll have to drop it to like 6200 instead of being at 6400. We got a bunch of 6000s up here with steadily increasing prices. So 6400 CL40. This is actually a safe Hynix option. If in your area this kit is at a reasonable price, go for it. We have 5600 CL36. Avoid. Just like avoid. 6040. I mean, it's from Kingston, so it's basically guaranteed to be Hynix, but at $240, I would just get the G-Skill Hynix kits instead. Got 6200 CL38. I mean, yeah, this should be Hynix as well. This is TRCD 38 at 6200 isn't impossible on Hynix, but okay, you know what? This is a bit suspicious. I would maybe not go for this. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would avoid that. That is like generally speaking, it shouldn't be Samsung, but 38 TRCD is kind of like, it's not impossible for Hynix memory to do that, but it's a bit weird to see it as an XMP profile. Anyway, so going up. Oh, and we get a 6600 CL34 kit. I think this is probably the cheapest kit where you might get Hynix A die, which is like ideal for 13th gen Intel. So this, I mean, it is a lot of money. Yeah, you're at like now you're talking about like $270 instead of, $220 Or if you go with the really cheap, almost guaranteed Hynix option, like you're paying almost $100 extra. And again, like as far as I know, the Hynix memory chips, there's really not much like silicon quality variance with them. So I don't like it's not a bad memory kit. It's just like if you're min-maxing your build, there's cheaper ways to get Hynix M-die than this. And there is a chance that you'll get A-die in this just because M-die at 6600 is kind of pushing it on a lot of memory controllers, whereas A-die at 6600 is easy, super super easy. So yeah, we've got another 6600 option from G-Skill. These definitely can't be Samsung. There's no way. Absolutely no way those are Samsung. What else do we have? We have another 6600 G-Skill kit. Oh, we're starting to see some 2x32 kits. Kind of totally... Is that the first 2x32 kits we're seeing? I would have thought there'd be like a 4800 rated 2x32 kit. But apparently not. They start out at 5200, which... Okay, cool. Same rules apply as with 2x16 kits, where it's like if you're not gonna spend, like if you're not getting something that has to be Hynix, you may as well just go. Or if you're not gonna get something rated for 5600 or higher, you may as well just go for the cheapest option with the 32 gig DIMMs. So yeah, this Corsair kit down here, like it's almost guaranteed to be Micron, but it's the cheapest option. So yeah, and the same goes for like this 5200 kit from G-Skill as well, like basically guaranteed to be Micron, though at least G-Skill has, tweaked the timings for you a little bit. Not that that's going to make much of a performance difference, especially on a dual rank kit, but yeah, so that's an option that exists. Got some 6400 CL32 Kingston kit. We've seen cheaper 6400 CL32 kits, so there's not really much point in that. We've got 6600 G-Skill again at 270. Let's keep going. What else do we have? 2x32 5200. I've already shared my thoughts on that. Still not... Oh, we've got a 6800 G-Skill kit. This has to be A-die. Like, has to be A-die. Yeah, this is Hynix A-die. At $300. So this only makes sense for 13th gen. Well, if you have a 12th gen and a 1 DIMM per channel motherboard like a Unify X or a Tachyon, it's kind of viable. Or a good Apex or a Dark. And when I say good Apex, I mean like a late production Apex. If you have an early production Apex, you're screwed. Yeah, so this is like good for a Unify X, good for a Tachyon, good for a Z690 Dark, Z790 Dark. 4-dimmer Z790 boards with 13th gen will actually run this just fine. Like 4-dim motherboards with 13th gen will do 7000 easily. At least the higher end 4-dim Z790 boards will do 7000 with a kit like this. Even 7200 should be doable on a kit like this, though I think on a 4-dimmer I might go for Hynix M-die instead, because A-die, like, the main benefit of A-die is that you can clock it way higher. It actually has a timing disadvantage compared to M-die, so yeah, that's something sort of to keep in mind. But as a, like this is currently the cheapest A-die option. That's, like, guaranteed to get you A-die, so... yeah, if you want a Hynix A-die based kit, that's your kit. Like, literally, you don't really have any other choices unless you want to pay significantly more. I've also skimmed over some like 5600 2x32 kits apparently, or are these the first ones? Looks like these are the first ones. These are in 36, so you're going to be getting dual rank Samsung. Yeah, dual rank Samsung on these. That's going to be interesting to run. Probably actually painful to run, but you know, like, I think, can you get it cheaper? Not really, no. Yeah, no, it's not like you're gonna get a cheaper option for 5600, so I guess fair enough. Um, anyway, let's keep going. So we've got 5200 by. I have another 6800 CL34 kit. So again, Hynix A die. Got 6200 Corsair Dominators. These are M die. This is really overpriced for a kit of M die. Actually, everything from Corsair. Yep, really overpriced M die if you want that. What else do we have up here? We have some 5600 32. Yeah, no, that's just Samsung again. 5600 CL40 from Kingston. This is probably Hynix. So yeah, if I was buying a 2x32 gig kit, this is what I would buy. Literally this. Or you could go for that like $300 G-Skill kit if you don't care about overclocking for the 5600 or some. Yeah, for the 5600 CL36. Kingston also has an RGB version of the 5600 CL40. Then we've got more overpriced Corsair memory. Yep, a lot of it. 56. Does this perhaps have like... Nah. I think I'd rather take my chances with the Kingston kit instead. This could be Hynix, though. Because, yeah, I don't know how dual rank Samsung behaves, but that could be Hynix, maybe. But I think I'd rather take the Kingston kits. Yeah. Then we get some 6800 from Team Group for a completely ludicrous price, considering that G-Skill is selling 6800 for, what, $300? And this is $380. We've got a 2x16 6000 for way too much. Some even more overpriced Corsair memory. Though it is 6600 CL32, but it might be M die, might be A die. Oh, and then here we have guaranteed A die kits for like DDR5 7000. I don't really see the point in getting a, $384 A die based kit when you could get a $300 A die based kit. Like, yeah, I don't really see much point in paying extra like that. There's also a 7200 option at basically the same price. So like if you are going to be spending almost $400 on your RAM, you may as well get the 7200 XMP. What else do we have? We have 5600 CL28. That's going to be like Samsung, isn't it? Yeah, because it's 2834. I'm pretty sure this has to be Samsung. I was hoping for, hey, a 6000 2x32. That's not going to be Samsung because I don't think it would run. Yeah, you can see it from the TRCDs. TRCD is at 38. So if you want like a high performance 64 gig kit, this is the kit I would go for. Yeah. Yeah, I would go for that because it is very expensive, but it's not actually, like, it's not that much more expensive than your other 2x32 gig options, right? Because 2x32 gigs is just really expensive in general. And there will be overclocking headroom in that kit. Like, definitely. It's not going to be... It can on Z790 with 13th gen, it might do 6600. It might even do more than 6600. Yeah. So, yeah, to be fair, like that Kingston kit, if you get Hynix M-Die dual rank in that 5600 CL40 Kingston kit, like that too should do like 6600. So this kit right here or this kit right here, like if you get those in M-Die, they should do the same kind of clocks as the 6000 rated G-Skill kit, but it's not really that much of a price. Well, like considering the overall price of the memory kits that we're looking at here now, It's not that, like, yeah, it's like $50, but, you know, it depends. Like, personally, I probably would go for the Kingston kit, because I'd rather spend less money anywhere possible. I cut corners. um, Anywhere possible, I am very happy to cut corners if there are corners that can be cut for minimal loss. Though I don't think I would be very happy if I ended up with a dual rank Samsung kit. So yeah. Oh well. That's the, like, sometimes you cut sometimes you cut the corners a bit too hard and get a unpleasant surprise. Um, and you know, overpaying for a Samsung memory kit would be the unpleasant surprise in this case. But with Kingston, I'm pretty sure it still has to be Hynix. Um, anyway, what other options do we have? That's kind of it. Like, yeah, we've got some really expensive. Oh my, no, 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 nope, 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 nope. Don't. Just don't. Don't pay $550 for your 7200 kit if you could pay 400. Or, you know, do the clever thing and buy a 6800 CL34 kit and clock it to 7200 yourself. Way cheaper. What else do we have up here in ridiculous prices land? It's not like this even comes with particularly amazing timings. Yeah, they're just smashing a bunch of voltage into it. Right? Yeah, it's 1.4. I mean, this is really kind of loose, but the thing you need to keep in mind with primary timings on DDR5 is they don't really matter that much. And your tertiary, like your secondaries and your tertiary timings are actually going to be pretty much the same. There's going to be very little difference between them. So yeah, I would always, like, any day of the week, like, somebody asks me, hey, should I buy this or this? I'd buy this. And then I'd buy a better motherboard. Because that's kind of the thing is, like, with the money, like, like, you're saving what, $250? Like, you could buy, like, a freaking Unify X or an Apex or, like, an ITX board that's really good at memory overclocking. Like, you know, the boards where that... Like, that's the thing. Like, this is the kind of memory kit that, like, will potentially not even work on a lot of your 4-DIMM motherboards. Now, on Z790, it should. It really should. But even then, it's like... Yeah, like, it's still... No. Like, well, really should. I have heard from somebody that has a 13900K that apparently won't do 7200. Which I find hard to believe because both of my 13th gen CPUs do 7200, but yeah, like, even then, I would much like, save $250, put it into your cooling system, put it into a better motherboard, put it into things that'll actually make a difference instead of maybe having, like, slightly lower TRCD. Like, TRCD is probably the most important of the primary timings, but even then, it's not $250 important. So, because on DDR5, your primary timings are just generally not that important. Like, on DDR4, it kind of made more of a difference, because, again, you just didn't have, like, it wasn't quad channel, you didn't have so many bank groups, and so, you know, the penalties, like, the timing, like, some of the timings get used a lot more frequently than they do on DDR5, but with DDR5, it's just kind of like, yeah, the primary timings are really just there to kind of look pretty. They don't actually affect performance that much. And then what else do we have up here? Okay, and then we have some like pricing errors is what we've got. So yeah, let's go through the list that I've built here of memory kits worth considering. Oh, I guess I should have included the... Well, no, because I said as much, didn't I? That, like, look, if you're not going to be buying something rated for 5600 or higher, just buy a 4800 kit and manually clock it to 5200 or 5400. A lot of them should still, like, 5400 should work on basically all of them at, like, 1.3, 1.35 volts. So, yeah. So here's, like, your cheap Samsung single rank option. This is probably single rank Hynix MDI, as well as this is. This is definitely, or almost definitely Hynix MDI. Then we've got might be Hynix A die, definitely M die, actually kind of overpriced, but definitely M die, definitely M die at a good price, 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 A die guaranteed at kind of ridiculous price. Actually, so we should throw that off of the list. That doesn't need to be in the list. This exists. Get this instead. Save $80. Put $80 into your motherboard. Like seriously, if you're gonna be getting these like high-speed kits, get a motherboard that can actually run them. Right? That should be a priority. It's like you spend $550 on your memory kit and then you put it into your 4DIMM motherboard and it doesn't run, you're gonna be feeling really stupid. So anyway, oh, and then for your 32 gig options, wait, is there anything else? Yeah, no, then we've got like our 32 gig options here with like pretty much guaranteed to be dual rank Samsung, probably Hynix, like questionable purchasing decision, and then here we have guaranteed $400 Hynix in dual rank. So yeah, that's kind of the memory kits that I would be considering. Yeah. Okay, let's actually order them in terms of pricing, because right now it's a bit whack. This one, well, okay, so this is actually, yeah, because this is 205. This is, so this should go here. Yeah, this is slightly cheaper. This should go there. This should go right after the Patriot kit. Yeah. No. Man, why does... Who thought that's a good idea? Anyway, 6634. Oh, no. So actually, I'd get this instead of the Patriot kit, because this is, what, 3238. Yeah. I'd get this before I'd get the Patriot kit. Go to our team group. More, oh, and now we get into the 32 gig kits with, like, Samsung, probably Hynix, definitely Hynix. And that's it. That's really sort of all you need for buying DDR5 right now, in my opinion, is just, you know, it's like you don't want to spend a lot of, like, if you don't want to spend money on like expensive DDR5, get the cheapest thing you can and then set it to 5400, should work. Then your next option is like 5600 CL36 Samsung kits, probably Hynix kits, then definitely Hynix kits, right? Then we get into, yes, still more Hynix kits. More Hynix, like it's just more and more Hynix, and then we get into like high density Samsung, high density probably. It's not actually high density because there's literally twice as many memory chips on these sticks. But I guess if you're considering the density of the stick itself instead of the density of the memory chips, then you can kind of consider it high density, I guess. And then we have like guaranteed Hynix MDI 32 gig DIMMs. So yeah, that's kind of my my purchasing advice for DDR5 right now is just if you want good memory, try to get Hynix. It's really that simple. And the best way to get Hynix is avoid anything with a low TRCD. So if you see TRCD 36 or lower, just avoid it because it's probably Samsung. Yeah, like that's the one. Yeah, just avoid TRCD 36 and avoid TRCD 34. Probably Samsung, and especially like the TRCD 34 kits are so expensive that even if they were Hynix, it's like why wouldn't you just get like this instead, or this, or this, especially if you're manually overclocking. So, yeah, that's it for the video. Hopefully you find this somewhat helpful for buying DDR5 for your Ryzen 7000 or 13th gen or even 12th gen, right? Like 12th gen CPUs are still... Is there a reason? I guess if you really hate the E-cores, the 12700K is still a interesting option. The thing is, if you're primarily gaming, a 13600K, even with the E-cores turned off, is probably just going to kind of demolish your 12700K, but yeah, like either way, what DDR5 you want to buy doesn't really change. You want at least like if you want basically the best DDR5 has to offer right now, you either want Hynix MDI, so something like the 6000 CL32 kit or 6200 CL42 Patriot Viper Black kit, and then if you want 32 gig DIMMs, like or if you're on 13th gen, you actually want to try get some Hynix ADI, which the cheapest option is that 6800 CL34. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. If you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. There's also the HOC Teespring store where you can pick up shirts, hoodies, posters, you know, the usual YouTuber merch. And I've also got a Bandcamp. If for some reason you want to listen to industrial noise, there's a link to that in the description below as well. And that's it for the video. So thank you for watching and goodbye.